This morning at about 6:52, officers responded to 510 East Wesleyan in reference to a traffic collision that had just occurred. In addition to that collision, the caller and witness stated that the driver of that vehicle was exhibiting erratic behavior. So our first officer who arrived on scene attempted to contact that driver, but a struggle took place. During that struggle, the suspect was able to retrieve a knife and began to stab the first officer. And so our second officer who arrived observed the attack taking place. He drew his service weapon and shot to stop that suspect from continuing the attack on that first officer. The first officer was transported to a local hospital and is in stable condition. The suspect was also transported to a local hospital, but was later pronounced deceased.
Was the suspect known to you guys at all? Did he live in the neighborhood?
We're still trying to determine that information. Again, we responded, it was in reference to the traffic collision, and we are still trying to determine who the suspect even was.
Okay, a lot of neighbors said that they had interactions with this person, with the suspect, this guy. Can you confirm that, or what did they tell you exactly that interaction was?
Well, we're actually in the process. We'll be canvassing the neighborhood. So as you can see, the street's going to be blocked off. Part of that process will be detectives are going to be going door to door, contacting all the residents to determine any information that they have, any information that they may have seen, or that they knew about any type of history.
Obviously so early in the investigation, but we're hearing stories of the officer being stabbed by a machete. Is there anything like of that information you could give out at this time?
So the knife is still currently at the scene, and the blade is about 6 to 8 inches on the blade.
Did he bring that with him? There was reports that he got out of the vehicle with it, or was it something he got from the scene?
We'll still have to determine what those actual details are about how he was able to retrieve that knife.
Are you able to say where the officer was stabbed?
We're still trying to figure out, but obviously he is stable, so he is going to make a recovery.
And how long was this officer on the force?
You know, it's still early, so we will be providing that information later.
Do you know how many times he was stabbed?
I don't know how many times.
And the officer that fired the shots, how long was he on the force?
Same thing, we'll be providing that information. Once we're able to confirm all the additional details and get the time on, we will be definitely sharing that information.
You mentioned it started off as a vehicle accident. Is this a thing where it was a solo vehicle accident, or between two vehicles, or?
You know, we're still trying to get the details, but it appears that it was a solo driver vehicle. It appears that one vehicle collided into an unoccupied vehicle.
Okay.
Someone that was like parked already.
Correct, that's what it appears.
Are you guys suspecting drugs or alcohol involvement, or because one of the guys said that he seemed just mad, like as in angry, not mad as in like on drugs or something?
Well, and again, what we had from the original caller and witness was the erratic behavior. So we'll be looking into that, but it's too early to say if there was any influence.
But what kind of erratic behavior are we talking about? Yelling, screaming, running?
Yeah, you know, pacing back and forth. The caller actually went out to try and attempt to help that driver, and that driver started using profanity and even spit towards that caller.
And what information do you want to give residents in the quartered off area? Like, can they leave? If they leave, what do
They can leave. It might be difficult to get back into the neighborhood, obviously, and we're hoping that everyone can be patient with us. It's a very serious investigation, and we want to make sure that we detail it very accurately.
Can you kind of just tell us what area is quartered off for them so that our viewers know?
Well, it's Wesleyan in between the Loyola Loop.
And just to confirm, the suspect was shot by a second officer, not by the officer who was...
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, the first officer was being attacked by the suspect with the knife, and the second officer is the one that stopped the attack by shooting him.
Okay.
What can you say about these neighbors? They hear a crash, they come out, they want to help this person, and then all of a sudden they're confronted with somebody who's wielding a knife, acting erratic. I mean, what's their best case scenario for them to do? I mean, they're coming out actually just to help this person.
Yes, and we always encourage people to call 911 for any suspicious activity. If they hear something, obviously it appears to be some type of emergency, so we want them calling 911. If they want to come out and attempt to help somebody, they can, but distance is always going to be their friend. Keeping their distance, and they saw the erratic behavior, then going back inside and waiting for police to arrive.
Would you say witnesses on scene did exactly what PD would suggest doing, or would you advise some additional?
Well, it's hard to say that they did exactly, but they did do a good job. So. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.